a drink, bikes put away, looking back at Small Trip 2016. So day 2, as is par for the course, I woke up at my normal time and was ready to go, but she was insisting we keep a vacation schedule and stayed in bed for at least another hour. And eventually she was up and we walked across the parking lot to the hotel breakfast. We were telling the kids about the trip and that they would be staying with Mimi and Papa, and we would be staying in a motel. The older kid popped up with, "I bet they have a pool." Sure enough they did, but it was mid-May in northern Michigan, so the 50 to 60 degree sunny weather was great for a ride. It wasn't quite swimming weather. Still, we took this picture to send home to the kids. After some coffee and bagels in the hotel office, we were finally on the road with just a mile to get to the bridge known as Mighty Mac. The grade on the bridge actually isn't that bad. Haven't been across in high winds. Every time we've gone across, it's been a nice, easy crossing. For more bridge facts and the full ride footage, check out my other video. Once in the UP, we followed the plan to a breakfast place for some brunch. A coworker that had been on a big trip into the Arctic Circle had been putting down shakedown miles in the UP many years ago. He recalls getting that trip done after 20 some hours crossing the continent, finally getting to Alaska, and what does he think? This looks exactly like the UP. I think of that story every time I get across the bridge and see what it looks like up here. It's a whole different world. We took our time and stopped at a bunch of pullouts overlooking Lake Huron, enjoying the scenery and finding a few geocaches before arriving at the place called out in the Hunt's Guide to the UP. Breakfast was merely okay. Maybe that was tainted by my realization that the strange sound I was hearing as across the bridge was the chain getting out of whack. I had adjusted it just before we left and reasoned that on this trip we were doing less than 1,000 miles, so I purposely opted to leave the big axle socket at home because we wouldn't need it to adjust the chain on this trip. Being in the UP, there weren't many options for a service station or even a hardware store where I could buy a wrench. Buying a tool I already have but didn't bring along, I'll chalk that up and call that a stupid tax, and maybe it'll be a good learning experience too. The GPS showed that there was a Napa in the next town, and we were planning on heading that way anyways, so I added this stop to our list. We followed the GPS into this town, but when it had us get off the main drag and into a residential neighborhood, I was sure the GPS was wrong. But there, next to a residential house, was a big Napa sign. The lights were off, but the door was open. So I went in, I walked back into the back and saw there were lots of engine blocks and various stages of rebuild, but nobody was around. I was thinking this was a little weird, so I went back out to the bike, called the phone number that was in the GPS, and left a message on the machine that had an outgoing message that sounded like a mix of a personal machine and maybe, I think it made some mention of Napa. It was just a little odd. It was about lunchtime. We figured maybe this guy was out to lunch and would be back soon, so we went to the tourist vistas of Detour Village. We spent more time here than anticipated, but hoped that was enough to allow him to get back to the store and maybe we could get a wrench. Going back and saw it was the same situation. Nobody was around, so we headed to the next town. There was a car dealership, so we called them and explained our situation, that we didn't really need any service, just hoping for a wrench. He replied that there weren't any technicians available today, and so there was no tools either. He pointed us to a Napa in that town that I hadn't seen on the GPS. Going there, with our luck, it was closed for the day. We had passed a small engine repair shop on the way, so while Jennifer laid down and soaked up the sun, I went to check out the small engine repair shop. Now, this small engine repair shop looked like it was somebody's house, so even though we were a half hour past the posted hours for Saturday, I figured there was a good chance of just borrowing a tool, so I pulled in and got off the bike and was headed to the front door to ask if I could borrow a tool. About the time I got my helmet off, I noticed there was a car trying to pull out of the driveway that I just parked in, and the lady rolled down the window and asked, "Are you looking for Jeff?" I don't remember his name, but no, I wasn't looking for Jeff. I was just looking for a tool, and I figured Jeff or whoever might have one. She said she didn't know a lot about tools, but Jeff has a lot of tools, so come on back, and took me into the shop. We were going through drawers, and I was starting to feel really weird. Then I saw a crescent wrench hanging on a pegboard and said, "Aha, that'll work." She said she had to go and just put it back when I was done. Also, she said Kurt was inside, and I don't remember his name either, but some other guy was inside if I needed anything else. So I adjusted the chain quickly and went to put the wrench back and met Kurt. He invited me to have a beer, and I thought this was very strange to be so well hosted in a time of begging. And later I'd wonder if that was standard small town hospitality, or maybe I was benefiting from some white privilege. Either way, I was very thankful and looking to get back on the road. Once underway, it was obvious the chain was just shot. The adjustment didn't help. So the time being, there was no fix. At any rate, we were back on the road and exploring some cool back roads. Sorry to say no videos here, probably because I was too engrossed in the chain situation to think about capturing video. We did stop a few times when we found some nice large fields of trillium. We were headed back south. There was time to cross the bridge again. We stopped for a few scenic views and grabbed some more geocaches before going across. Crossing here was smooth and easy, and we were headed to the main event of the trip, the Tunnel of Trees.